Peace. What's going on? I'm Rami Salamea, and I thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be doing some reading from the Montauk Book of the Dead about Jew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America, also known as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. This is the Montauk Book of the Dead. Shout out to Peter Moon. If you haven't got it already, please pick it up. But before we get to that, I wanted to read something real brief from the diary of Malcolm X, Hajj Malik Shabazz, 1964. And the inside cover it reads, "The diary provides Malcolm's meticulous documentation of his pilgrimage to Mecca, his stay in Africa and the Middle East, and the many people, famous or otherwise, he meets. The heart of the diary is Malcolm's observations, impressions, circumstances he encounters, and his own feelings of trepidation and self-doubt during his travels. In many ways, the diary complements and amplifies his autobiography with open and honest discourse." And the autobiography, if you haven't got it, please go pick this up. The autobiography of Malcolm X, as told by Alex Haley. I just wanted to read a brief statement in here from Hajj Malik. It's on page 39. And it reads, "The moral strength or weakness of any country is quickly measured by the attire and attitude of its women, especially the young. Lebanon is a good example, and so is UAR compared to Arabia. Material progress seems to destroy spiritual values. If these two, material and spiritual, could be properly balanced, paradise would then exist. No African nation needs a political system that will allow division and bickering while it is trying to decolonize itself." Some powerful words by Brother Hajj Malik Shabazz. Peace to the Shabazz family. But now we're going to read from the Montauk Book of the Dead. Once again, this is the cover. Peter Moon. And we're going to be going to chapter 58, entitled The Ali Shuffle. And I'm going to be reading from page 418. "When the Moorish science reached its peak in 1929, it was on the heels of the greatest but most dangerous discoveries Jew Ali ever made. In 1928, Ali attended a Pan-American conference in Havana, Cuba, where he enjoyed broad recognition from a host of other countries. They were, of course, recognizing his sovereign status as a Moorish national who was representing the ancient empire of Amexem." Let me read that sentence one more time. "They were, of course, recognizing his sovereign status as a Moorish national who was representing the ancient empire of Amexem." I wanted to highlight that sentence just to clarify the difference between the so-called sovereign citizen movement that is being propagated by the U.S. government and its media, the corporately controlled mainstream quote-unquote media. There's been a lot of press lately propagating the idea of the sovereign citizen movement and attaching itself to the Moorish Divine and National movement, attaching itself to the Moorish Science Temple of America and Moorish Americans. And to clarify, we are not. We never have been, we never will be sovereign citizens, nor are we associated with the sovereign citizen movement. We teach nationality, law. Our status is sovereign as Moorish nationals in our own homeland, which is the ancient empire of Amexem. Let me continue. "Keep in mind that other countries had no reason to fear Jew Ali or what he represented. It was at this conference, however, that he received a document that was to change the face of the Moorish Science Temple of America forever, and would eventually lead to what is known as the Great Schism. That is the name the Moorish community uses to refer to the dispersal of Moor science into different groups. The document Drew Ali received was a copy of a mandate whereby the IAMHH Empire extended a land grant of the entire Western Hemisphere to certain Europeans. I have not yet seen the document, and its exact contents are highly mysterious, yet its ramifications literally turn the United States of America upside down. Essentially, it leased America to a certain party for a particular number of years, not unlike the way China leased Hong Kong to Great Britain. The lease was up in 2004. It is entirely reasonable to believe that such a document, if it still exists and can be brought to light, is a mere relic of a long forgotten era that has no significant meaning in today's legal system. And that would be fine, except for one very important point. If you truly studied the detailed legal history of the United States of America, you would understand that there is more than a little truth to the prospect of there being such a document. Why? The entire legal history of the United States is predicated on such a proposition. What is known is that Secretary of State Hughes from the U.S. government attended the Pan American Conference and was made privy of this mandate. So were several other heads of state. As a result, a closed-door conference between several nations was held in Geneva, Switzerland. An elaborate series of discussions and negotiations began. The Geneva conferences went on for some 5 years, but the records are still kept sealed to this very day. It is known that several international banks called in their loans as a result of this potential legal threat, and the stock market crashed in 1929. Let me read that one more time. It is known that several international banks called in their loans as a result of this potential legal threat, and the stock market crashed in 1929. Several countries, which included the United States, Portugal, France, and Spain, declared bankruptcy in order that relevant powers could buffer themselves from any potential legal claims. In the case of the United States of America, it was reorganized with a new corporate legal status. Franklin Roosevelt was part and parcel, Moors, of the entire plan when he abolished the gold standard and created the New Deal. Federal Reserve notes were then issued in place of gold-backed currency. The Great Seal of the Moors was used on the back of the notes. Then I'm also going to read the appendix. Amazing information. You gotta read the rest of this book here. A man knows not by being told. A wise man once taught. Let's see here. Okay, Appendix A on page 449. Any understanding of the Moorish Science Temple requires an understanding of its founder, Timothy Drew, born in North Carolina to the parents of a former quote-unquote slave father and a Cherokee mother. Losing his parents at an early age, Drew Ali went to Egypt either as a merchant seaman or in some other capacity, and was surprisingly met by a group of wise men, or mystery school representatives, who were expecting him. Taking him to the Great Pyramid, they blindfolded him and took him to the king's chamber, where he's told to find his way out. This is an ancient initiation in which the individual is left to sink or swim. It can, of course, result in death. Eventually, his sponsors found him, quite alive, between the paws of the Sphinx. He was found worthy and commissioned with a new mission, to revive the Moorish Empire and teach the displaced Moorish people about their lost heritage. Timothy Drew was given the name of Prophet Abdul Sharif Ali, which was then converted to Noble Jew Ali for his English-speaking American brethren. The Moorish Science Temple emerged in 1913 when Noble Jew Ali received a charter from Woodrow Wilson to teach the displaced Moorish nationals the truth about their heritage. It was said that Jew Ali was also able to retrieve the original Moroccan flag from a White House safe. It was the flag of the Societas Republicae y Al-Marcanos, which translates either to the Al-Moroccan Republic Society or We the People of the United States of America. Al-Moroccanos was the colloquial name for the Americas prior to European colonization, and the entire two continents were once considered to be a part of a Maxim, the name of the ancient Moorish Empire which waved the flag of Morocco. As the flag that Jew Ali retrieved was primarily red, it was always known as the cherry tree. Morocco was not coincidentally the first nation to sign a treaty with the United States of America. The Sultan of Morocco had sued for peace because the colonists had enslaved a considerable number of citizens from his empire. When the United States did not respond, the Sultan's men kidnapped American citizens until the treaty could be worked out. As a result, any person of any color, including slaves, could go to the government and proclaim themselves a free Moor. This was by treaty and assured by the principles and customs of international law and recognized diplomacy. The problem, however, was that neither George Washington nor his colleagues did anything significant to make this known. Instead, they obscured the truth. For this reason, George Washington earned the most famous and satirical yarn that was ever told about him, that he could not lie because it was true that he had chopped down the cherry tree. This satirical yarn, told in the truest tradition of the Moorish bards, which are the source of the flamenco and much gypsy culture, including Carnival, was referring to the fact that George Washington had sold out the Moorish culture and all of its citizens. Further down, Jew Ali began to promulgate Moorish science and was far more successful than anyone could imagine. Although Jew Ali has a very thick FBI file, historians have made a gallant effort to remove any trace memory of him from the history books. Not surprisingly, the FBI has not released all of the information they collected on Jew Ali. It is also a matter of public record that the FBI bird-dogged the movements of the Moorish Science Temple of America very closely. In 1929, Moorish science had undergone a huge renaissance, that this new movement was to experience a horrendous version of Armageddon. Different people within his own brethren tried to seize the considerable power, including financial accounts that Jew Ali had accrued. Violence broke out and the police became involved. As a result, Jew Ali spent several days in jail and was questioned. Some say under harsh and torturous conditions. The latter has not been confirmed. I mean, we know the so-called police, we know they treat us with the utmost respect, right? Let me continue. Throughout the ordeal, Ali directed his disciples to be kind and non-violent. Although he was reported dead, history has offered no evidence of a funeral or gravesite. His death is shrouded in mystery. And in the wake of Jew Ali's death, the character who inherited the so-called windfall of this quote-unquote black Muslim movement was Wali Fard, an equally mysterious character who also accrued a huge and sometimes very puzzling, if not contradictory, FBI file. Wally Fraud was not quote-unquote black, but is well known for using the term white devil. Before agreeing with the FBI to remove himself from this new movement, he declared a young man by the name of Elijah Poole as his disciple and handed this new movement to him. Elijah Poole adopted the name of Elijah Muhammad and formed the Nation of Islam, which is the premier entity of what has become known as the Black Muslim movement in America. Alright, now we're going to close with a small reading from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, also known as the Holy Quran Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Ju Ali. Going to be reading from chapter 3, entitled Elihu's Lessons, the Unity of Life, and I'm going to be reading lines 5 through 8. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. Much love to you. If you're watching this, you're on the path. I don't want you to believe me. I don't want you to take what I say as opinion and run with it. Research it. Look it up. Seek the truth for yourself. For man knows not by being told. It ain't over till we win. Peace to Brother Kaba, Hiawatha Kamene, also known as Booker T. Coleman, Elder Master Teacher. Peace to Cujo Awa El. Peace to everybody that's active. And peace to those that are asleep. It's alright. You need to sleep. But when it's time you wake up, we'll get busy. With that said, I'll say the Moorish American prayer. We'll go ahead and end it today. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, Allah is our guide, and Allah is our salvation. By night and by day, through our holy prophet, Ju Ali. Amen. Ashe. Allah.